Today I will be making famous cartoon characters in Lego. Now cartoons have played a very important part in my life and have actually helped shape me up to the man that I am today. So today I will be building famous iconic cartoon characters in Lego, whether they are from shows that I used to watch and many other people watched as a little kid, or from shows that we all watch now as adults, or from just really weird and creepy shows. But let's do it. So first off, we will be doing Peppa Pig. Now, believe it or not, Peppa Pig is actually one of the most popular cartoon characters to ever exist. So I thought it would be fitting to, of course, start with her. Now, in order to make this minifigure, I ended up using parts of 3 minifigures, and those were Porky Pig, Petunia Pig, and of course the Marshall. And overall I think it turned out quite decent. Obviously it's not the most accurate representation ever, but it's definitely identifiable as Peppa Pig. I think the only thing that would have been better is if I was able to use a bit of a darker pink, of course, but I think that I did the best with all the stuff that I did have in my collection. So next up we have Regular Show, a show about a bunch of animals, a man with a big head and a gumball machine, and of course a high five ghost. Now this was one of my favorite shows growing up, and it still is, to be honest. I think it's an absolutely amazing cartoon show, and I feel like if you didn't watch this in your childhood, then your childhood kind of sucked, in my opinion. So today I will be building Mordecai and Rigby, who are the 2 main characters from the show. So let's get into it.
I love this tasty lick.
So first off, we decided to build Rigby. Now Rigby was actually quite easy in my opinion, mainly because, you know, he's a raccoon, and I decided to use most parts from the Wile E. Coyote minifigure with the torso as well as the tail. And then for the head, I decided to use the Rocket Raccoon head, mainly because I didn't really have anything else. And overall, I actually think it looks quite good in my opinion, and I think it is a pretty decent representation of the character. And then of course I had to build his best friend Mordecai. Now Mordecai, in my opinion, was really hard to do, probably one of the hardest minifigures that I have made in this video. One, because I didn't actually have any appropriate torso for the character, so I had to end up using the torso from the Scarlet Spider minifigure, which didn't really look the best, but it was the best I had. And then for the head, it was really hard because Lego have not got any molds that look like his head, so I actually made my own with my own Lego pieces, which went well, you'll see. Okay guys, this was what I came up with, and you know, I think it looks fine in my opinion. If you you know, kind of squint your eyes a little bit, it will do. Okay, so then I decided to place it onto the actual torso, and this was the final product, and overall it looks please subscribe. Next up we have Bob the Builder, about a guy named Bob who likes to build things, and that's essentially it. So in order to make this character, I decided to use these light blue legs, and then I ended up using this torso from the Looney Tunes CMF series, as well as this extra piece to put on the torso, which came from the bodyguards from Lego Jurassic World. And then I ended up using this headpiece right here, and then I also ended up attaching the helmet, of course. And there you have it. There is Bob the Builder in Lego form, which overall I think was actually really easy to do, and probably one of the easiest customs that I've done in this video so far. So next up we have Curious George, and who did not watch Curious George when they were younger? Now in my opinion, one of the most iconic parts about my childhood was actually the man with the yellow hat from Curious George. If I had to sum up my childhood with a few characters, this guy would definitely be on there. So I decided to recreate this guy in Lego form. Obviously Curious George, he's just a monkey, so you could just use a regular monkey piece. Nothing too special there, but I decided to recreate the man with the yellow hat. So let's get into it. Now, creating this minifigure was actually extremely difficult, mainly because I didn't actually have too many yellow pieces from minifigures in my collection. But overall, I think that the final product turned out pretty good using some of the pieces that I did have. And overall, I'm pretty impressed with how it all turned out as a whole. And then, of course, I had to make the yellow hat as well, which I ended up using this cylindrical yellow piece and attaching a banana to the end of it. And it got that pretty good shape there. And overall, I actually think it looks quite good. And it is a pretty accurate representation, in my opinion, of the character from Curious George. Now, next up, we're going to be looking at Family Guy. Now, Family Guy is one of those shows that is a bit more mature, and it is meant for adults and not kids. So in today's video, I will be recreating the main character of the show, Peter Griffin, in Lego. So let's get into it. So in order to create this character, I decided to use the green legs, and then I also used the torso from Homer Simpson, but then I ended up replacing the arms with the white ones and adding the fleshy hands, and then I used the Harry Potter facial expression, and then added this hairpiece on top. And overall, I think it looks quite good in my opinion. I think it is a pretty decent, accurate representation of the character, and probably one of the most accurate ones I have done in this video. Next up, we have Veggietales, a show about a tomato called Bob and a cucumber called Larry. So let's get into it. So in order to recreate Bob, I decided to use this headpiece which came from the chef from the Muppet CMF series, and I did a green stud on top. And then for Larry, I just ended up using this one piece to represent him because there's not really too much you can do to represent a cucumber in Lego. And here we have the iconic duo that we all loved so much in our childhood. But one thing that we didn't like in our childhood at all was the Teletubbies. Now the Teletubbies, in my opinion, is by far one of the most creepiest things that has ever been made. And these things used to haunt me when I used to sleep. I used to have nightmares about these things. So I decided to recreate the Teletubbies in Lego for you guys. So I decided to make the green one. So I decided to use the green legs, of course, and the torso from the Powerpuff Girls. And then I decided to use the Loki head. Now, the main reason why I decided to use this head was because it sort of gave off the same vibe that I experienced as a child watching the Teletubbies. So for me, it was a very accurate representation of the character. So I think I did a really good job in capturing the way I felt and experienced watching the Teletubbies as a child here in Lego form. And then I used the helmet from the Marshall from the Looney Tunes CMF series. And overall, I think it looks quite good in my opinion. Next up, we have Ratatouille. Now, this was one of the ones I really wanted to do, mainly because Lego have had quite a lot of fan submissions of a set for Ratatouille for Lego Ideas. However, none of them have actually got accepted, so I thought it would be really cool if I was able to make the Linguini minifigure, as well as Remy to go along with him as well. So let's get into it. So I decided to use the white legs, of course, and this torso right here, and then this face which came from Scott Lang, and this hairpiece to represent Linguini, and then here we have Remy. And there you go, there you have your duo there. And next up we have Postman Pat. Now, Postman Pat, it was a pretty iconic character in my opinion during my childhood, so I thought I'd recreate him as well. So here we have the torso and the legs which came from Obadiah Stane, and then I added this Harry Potter head on top, of course, and then I ended up adding this hat as well to, of course, represent his iconic hat there. And overall, I think it turned out quite good. Okay, lastly, we have another Cartoon Network show, which is Phineas and Ferb. Now, this aired around the same time as regular show, and this was peak cartoons, in my opinion. And this was one of my favorite shows growing up as well. And I think that a lot of people did grow up with this. This made a lot of people's childhood. So I thought I'd recreate Phineas and Ferb in Lego, of course. Now, it was actually really hard to recreate these two, mainly because of the weird shapes for their heads. But I had a go, and overall, I think I got some pretty decent minifigures as a result. Now, first off, I decided to do Ferb, and overall, I think he actually turned out quite good, mainly because I used this head here, which came from the Muppets CMF series, and I just ended up using the Petunia Pig's torso as well as some purple legs. But I think that it was a decent representation of the character. And then for Phineas, I ended up using these light blue legs as well as this Joker Goon torso. And then I ended up using the Ron face as well as this hairpiece right here. And then here we had Phineas, who was all done. And I think it looks decent in the end. But there we go, everyone. With that being said, this is the end of the video. I had an absolute blast making this, and I hope that you did enjoy. If you did like this video, then make sure to smash that like button as well as subscribe with the notification bell turned on, so you don't miss out on any more of the latest Lego videos from me. And let me know in the comments down below what your favorite custom minifigure that I did make was. I'll talk to you guys soon, so peace out, see you later, and bye bye.